All right, when I was a kid, I was a huge nerd kid. I obviously, like all of the kids back then, liked Star Wars, but I was also a huge Star Trek kid. I played pen and paper games like Shadowrun, so I was always in the sci-fi kind of spectrum of being nerdy, and I played Shadowrun in pen and paper. I read a lot of MechWarrior books and stuff like that, so sci-fi. And Star Trek Next Generation was basically the series that sparked this sci-fi interest, especially because it was running always, if I'm not remembering completely wrong, it was always in the afternoon. So you come back from home, from school, do your homework, have lunch, and then you watch Star Trek, right? And always the title melody, always, it was something that gave me a good feeling when I was a kid. And I was scrolling through Netflix and I saw, and I don't know why I wasn't aware that Star Trek Next Generation was on Netflix, but I saw in the segment Leaving Soon, Star Trek Next Generation is leaving on January 8th. So I have little time to rewatch it. And I also acknowledge that there are a lot of seasons, and there are also a couple of episodes that are you could consider them basically filler episodes. So me knowing there is a lot to watch, me also knowing I don't have that much time. It's also Christmas, not there just because of the responsibilities, and I call them responsibilities. Maybe I will do a vlog about that in the future, about my position towards Christmas in the future, but there's not much time to watch that. So I also know that there is somewhat of a recommendation on the internet, which episodes to watch, what storylines to follow. And I thought like, hey, I utilize AI for some things, information, maybe gathering as well. And I just asked Google Gemini, hey, give me a recommendation. I just want to rewatch it, but I know that there are some filler episodes. Give me some recommendations, which episodes to watch. And I started that list. And I thought, for all of you Next Generation fans as well, maybe I share that list. So if you want to watch Star Trek Next Generation before it leaves Netflix, maybe this is helpful to you as well. So I'm just going to read this because I found the list actually really good. I haven't watched, I'm now at season 3, and it's not that many episodes. So it's actually pretty much doable to watch those episodes before it leaves. And again, for me, Star Trek Next Generation is such a good feeling series to watch, not only due to the music, the intro music. I really get this warm feeling of being a kid again. And it's maybe also for some people like Christmas songs, you know, that feeling when you listen to a Christmas song and you get like this nostalgia feeling of when you were a kid and you were at Christmas. And for me, it's kind of like that. I'm listening to that song, the intro theme, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. It's the afternoon. I'm going to watch something that is not school. That's not homework, right? And I really like that. And also, as a professional film editor and also in line of a filmmaker, for me, watching these kinds of series, especially when it comes down to science fiction, it is always through the lens of, oh, they had so many restrictions, limitations back then. I mean, this is an old series. It's not as old like Star Trek, the original series, but it's still in the time period where especially series didn't have the techniques, the budget, like feature films. So you always have to kind of keep that in mind. Okay, you have that kind of limitations, and still you shoot on expensive cameras, so not those typical like news cameras. So it's actually film, as far as I remember. And to me, it's a marvel that they build those sets, that they have all of these effects and stuff like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying those effects are good. I'm not saying that. They are dated. You can really see, okay, I get this is a TV production. This is from many years ago. I don't really remember how many years. At least 25 years ago, I would say. It is even longer, actually. When did it went? Yeah, maybe 26, 27, somewhere along those lines. And so there were a lot of limitations, but still, it looks good. I'm not saying that it looks timeless. It looks dated, but the storylines are good. And you really notice that despite this being made for TV, you really know where they wanted to have the commercial breaks. So where the storyline hits on a little cliffhanger and then there's a commercial break and then it continues. So even though you notice those breaks, they incorporated them in a good way. It's not as jarring as you might think, at least to me. So yeah, I think rewatching these episodes is still, it's holding up in my humble opinion. So let me read this list to you and the way I'm watching it now. So this list is called The Essential Star Trek The Next Generation Rewatch. So we start obviously with season 1, and the very first episode that you are supposed to watch in this list is obviously the pilot. So season 1, episode 1 and 2, where you are being introduced to all of the characters, to the setup and stuff like that. And yeah, it introduces the whole crew, but also, and I didn't remember this, I remember this character, but I kind of forgot about that he was such an important part that he even is being introduced in the first pilot, and that is Q, a being that is extremely powerful and that is almost like a Joker in the game, that he's causing mischief or kind of like Loki in a way. I don't want to, if you have never watched Next Generation, I don't want to spoil too much, but I cannot spoil too much because I remember him as being very strong, but I don't remember a resolution to his character. So I'm looking forward to that. As I said, I'm at season 3 at the moment. Then the next one is season 1, episode 13, Data Lore, which goes into the storyline of Data and his evil brother. And this whole list is basically not only about the most interesting episodes, but also about the most interesting story arches that are kind of stretching over the whole series. And I think that's also something that I asked. So what are the most interesting episodes, but also the most interesting storylines to follow? One of them being Q, one of them being Data, and obviously, to which I'll get in a second, one of the most dangerous enemies in this series. So next one is season 1, episode 26, The Neutral Zone. And this episode introduces the Romulans. Then we continue with season 2, episode 9, The Measure of Man, where Jean-Luc Picard, the captain, has to define the being of Data, who is an artificial life form, but that is the question. Is Data considered a life form? And I think it is not only a very interesting episode, but also, I would dare to say it is a timeless episode, because it goes into a very important ethical question of, is Data a life form? And at what point do you consider something a life form? And honestly, when I rewatched that, obviously when I watched that years ago, I was a kid. I didn't really get a grasp on everything. But now being old and rewatching that episode, I think it is really good. It has a really good resolution in the end. And is a very thought-provoking episode. So I like that episode a lot. Next one is season 2, episode 16. So you can see you jump around a lot in the seasons. And also that kind of underlines what I was saying. There are a lot of filler episodes. So it's not a perfect series. A lot of the episodes are really good. But for me, I wanted to dive them into the most important episodes. So season 2, episode 16, Q Who. And this is one of the important episodes because we see Q, and Q does something where the Enterprise is for the very first time introduced to the Borg and to the menace that might come in many later episodes and seasons. So really important episode. So then we go to season 3. Right now, I'm personally at season 3, the first one that is mentioned in this list. So the next episodes that I will kind of read off will be also for me new. So the first one that I watched yesterday, season 3, episode 10, The Defector. Why watch? A tense and classic episode focusing on the Romulan threat and espionage. So it was a really interesting episode, but I didn't see it that important yet because it is an introduction episode to the Romulans and way of thinking of them. So I think it's a setup episode to kind of prepare you for what's coming up. So now, for me, this is new as well. Season 3, episode 15, Yesterday's Enterprise. Why watch? Widely considered one of the best TNG episodes. It is a compelling alternate timeline story that explores key characters and fate. Oh, that's interesting. Then season 3, 17, Sins of the Father. Why watch? Deepens Worf's complex backstory and the politics of Klingon Empire, an arc that continues throughout the series of Deep Space Nine. That is also something that I consider maybe watching, but I rather want to watch Voyager instead of Deep Space Nine. I remember liking Deep Space Nine, but I more remember liking Voyager. Now, season 3, episode 26, The Best of Both Worlds, part 1. Ooh, this sounds like a cliffhanger. Why watch? The definite TNG cliffhanger. The Borg return in full force for devastating confrontation. Essential viewing. Oh, I remember that so vividly because the thought of such a big cliffhanger and a story that kind of expands. I remember watching that episode as a kid and I was like baffled. I was like, what the hell am I? Why is that happening? And this is a huge cliffhanger. As I said, I'm not going to spoil it, but I remember vividly being in front of the TV and being like, what the hell? Whoa, what's going on? And having to wait until the next season starts. I remember that really vividly. Season 4, episode 1. The Best of Both Worlds, part 2. Why watch? The powerful conclusion to the cliffhanger, resolving one of the show's biggest storylines. And I know what it is. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but it's really good. Season 4, episode 2, Family. Why watch? A unique low-stakes episode that explores the crew's downtime and Picard's recovery from the events of the previous 2 episodes. Great character work. So I think I'm not going to tell you why watch because maybe that's too spoilery. Episode 7 of season 4, Reunion. Episode 12 of season 4, The Wounded. Episode 21 of season 4, The Drumhead. Then we continue with season 5. Episode 2, Darmok. Episode 3, Ensign Row. Episode 23 of season 5, Borg. Episode 25, season 5, The Inner Light. Season 6, in parentheses, High Quality. Oh, that's interesting. Season 6, episode 4, Relics. Season 6, episode 10 and 11. Season 6, episode 15. And season 7, The Final Journey. Episode 15, Lower Decks. Only 3 episodes. Interesting. Episode 25 and 26, All Good Things. And that is the finale. Interesting that the season 7 only has 3 episodes being highlighted. So yeah, those are the episodes that, according to Gemini and according to the internet, are some of the episodes that are mandatory to watch. And I'm definitely going to watch this list because, as I said, leaving soon. I think it's January 8th. So today is December 13th. 14th. So you still have a little bit of time to watch them. And yeah, let me know in the comment section below, what are you a Star Trek fan, and which of all of these Star Trek series is your favorite? And if you watch any of the new ones, I also watched Picard, which I actually, season 1 I really liked. Season 2 was okay-ish. Let me know what you think about the newer ones and which ones do you recommend. Also the movies. What are your thoughts? I really like the new ones, and it's a shame that they didn't continue those. Let me know what are your thoughts. And if you want to see yesterday's video, check out the video up here. YouTube thinks that you like the video down here. And don't forget to hype and like and maybe subscribe to this channel by clicking the button up here. That way we see each other tomorrow. Thank you very much.